1 week down, 4 weeks to go in the Choose Tap final series, but who's counting, Peter Baird? It's a magnificent time of the year, and it all kicked off last Saturday and continues this Saturday and Sunday with the Choose Tap final series week 2. One man is always all over everything in the EFL, particularly the Choose Tap final series, is of course Peter Frosty Baird, and he joins me. Frosty, what a way to kick off the Choose Tap final series.
Oh, fantastic start last weekend in Divisions 2, 3 and 4. Just whets the appetite as big boys take centre stage this weekend for the Division 1 Choose Tap finals.
Well, let's have a look at the big boys of Division 1, and this is how the Division 1 ladder looked at the end of the 2013 home and away season. Baldwin, as we all expected, finishing on top, and South Croydon sneaking into that 5th spot. Well done to the Dogs, the first time they'll play in a Division 1 final series. Must be a great feeling for Damien Frank and the team down there.
Oh, absolutely. Blimey, the Dogs are going to play finals for the first time ever in Division 1. It's a fantastic effort. They've really deserved it. They've worked hard this year. But Baldwin, they get the week off this weekend as well, Ben. They're finished on top. They're just a juggernaut powering into finals.
Well, let's have a chat about the Baldwin Footy Club. And, of course, they comfortably defeated Norwood in the end. And, of course, Norwood plays South Croydon. And Baldwin have that week off. Can anyone knock off the Tigers? We'll make a pre-finals prediction here. Can anyone knock off the Tigers?
I think Noble Park are the only team that can. I don't think Vermont have what it takes. I think they carry too much emotional baggage and a few scars from past encounters. I think the problem for the Bulls, though, is they need to get past Vermont, and I reckon they might have their work cut out in trying to do that.
Great round of action in the Division 2 Choose Tap Finals series. Let's have a look at the first game on Saturday, which was Montrose taking on Mooroolbark. And the D's were pushed by the Mustangs in the end, particularly at the last quarter. The Mustangs running down by a couple of goals at the early stage of that final term, but the D's showed their class and were able to go through to the Choose Tap Senior Grand Final in Division 2.
It's a little bit of a replay of last year's result. If you look back, this year, Montrose have won by 22 points on the weekend. Last year, they defeated Roval in that second semi-final by 21 points to go straight through to the grand final. So it's almost a little bit of a same for Montrose again. I just hope that the same result doesn't come up against them in a fortnight's time, because last year, remember, obviously, Roval defeating them in the grand final. Mooroolbark, as you said, they pushed Montrose all the way, just fell short at the end. So they're going to have to regroup and come up against a revitalised Croydon from the weekend.
Yeah, well, let's have a chat about Croydon. Of course, you were out there on Sunday for EFL Game Day to see the Blues pull off the upset of the round, and certainly in the senior competition across the Choose Tap final series. A magnificent win by the Blues over the Saints. The Saints, we were thinking, and I certainly you in particular, they were the smoky of the Division 2 final series, but the Blues just put that to bed.
Croydon were absolutely fantastic on the weekend. Their full ground press they played on North Ringwood, it stopped their run and link up out of defence. The pressure they applied on the ball carrier was fantastic. They caused North Ringwood to turn it over at will almost throughout the day. Just their extra body size, I think, was really telling for them. Guys like Jimmy Grant at centre-half forward played a fantastic game. Big Tim Green in the ruck, Trojan workmanlike in the way he went about his game. And Croydon, if they can bring that same sort of intensity to this week's game against Mooroolbark, they're every chance.
Well, it's the irresistible force taking on the immovable object last Saturday afternoon at East Burwood Reserve, Frosty, and it was the force. Well, the force was certainly with Wanturna South as the best attacking team in the competition, defeated the best defensive team in Baronia. Interesting game, though, quite low scoring, so Wanturna South able to sort of match it in that Baronia style where they like to shut the game down.
Yeah, I thought Baronia had the better of the game very early on. They probably just didn't capitalise on the scoreboard, weren't able to put that scoreboard pressure on Wanturna South. But as the game went on, Wanturna South found a bit of open space. They got their game into gear, and they started to get a bit of fluency about the way they played. In the end, they ran all over the top of Baronia. Baronia are going to have to regroup because that's really hurts them, I think, and they would be really disappointed with that loss. Had a chat with their president, Tim Curry, on Sunday out of Baronia, and they're in the same situation they were in last year. They lost the second semi-final, a qualifying final. Yep. They find themselves in a first semi-final again this weekend now, so last year they were able to win that game. If they don't, well, perhaps they haven't moved forward like we thought they may have under Mark Hardy this year.
Well, they've got a big game on Sunday in an elimination final now. Of course, they finished third, so they get the double chance, and they come up against Mitchum, a very proud club. Apparently a big crowd out there at Vermont. They've already gone one better than last year. Of course, they went down that elimination final last year to Ringwood in extra time, but they've now got an opportunity in the semi-final against Baronia, and a great win against the Basin on the weekend.
Yeah, Mitchum, they bounced back like they should. They were very disappointed going down to Doncaster in that last round of the year. They didn't want to go out in the first week of the finals, and they've regrouped. They get Steve Pym back this weekend, and that's a huge back for them. He's going to provide another focal point up forward. They've already got a few up there. Johnny Pignataro's into his probably season best form so far in the last round of the year in the first week of the final. So alongside Chris Hogle, I think Steve Pimmel slots just nicely into that Mitchum forward line. They may surprise Baronia on the weekend. I'm going to tip they're going to get through.
Of course, 2 games in Division 4, and on Saturday, the EFL Game Day team was out there at Walker Park, the MCG of the EFL, for the Ferntree Gully and Sylvan Choose Tap final. And the Gully did it again. They were able to defeat Sylvan for the 3rd time this year, and for the 3rd time pretty convincingly as well.
They did. Their big challenge comes this week, though, Ben. They come up against South Belgrave, who they haven't got near. Let's just face it, they haven't got near them this year. They were great on the weekend, though. I think that they actually ran Sylvan off their legs by all reports. I didn't see that game, but they were just too quick. They were too polished in the way they used the ball. Sylvan at times were perhaps a little bit lazy from what I heard in the way they went about their business. Sylvan now have to regroup. They've got to go out to Jubilee Park to take on the very fast Forest Hill side. So that's going to be a huge challenge for Sylvan now.
And speaking of Forest Hill as well, they were able to get the chocolates over Kilsyth on the weekend. And the big boys came to play on the big stage. Michael Cardamone. He booted 5 goals and would he'll be featuring obviously in EFL TV Play of the Week a little bit later on this week on EFL.org.au. But the Zebras lifted on the big stage and really blew Kilsyth out in the first term. They booted 6 goals to not many. And it was a great start for the Zebras, and they were just able to continue on from there.
They do, and as you said, Michael Cardamone had a fantastic game. Those fantastic players, they live for the big stage. Either that or those players with the big heads live for the big stage. Whatever way it is, Carters, you decide that one yourself. Forest Hill will get Jake Rowe back this weekend. That's going to be a huge addition back into their side. I reckon they might have what it takes to surprise Sylvan. They could be the smoky that we see go all the way through to take on Ferntree Gully and possibly South Belgrave.
What an unbelievable round of Choose Tap finals we have coming up. It's now finals time across all 4 divisions. And, of course, we're going to head out and see the big boys of Division 1, the 2nd and 3rd place Vermont and Noble Park this Saturday for EFL Game Day, Frosty, on 98.1 FM. And we'll be streaming through EFL.org.au as well. So make sure you check that one out. And then, of course, on Sunday, we'll be heading out to Vermont for Baronia and Mitchum, the Division 3 Choose Tap elimination final on 98.1 FM. That'll be a 2 p.m. start. Saturday will be a 1 p.m. start. Big couple of radio games coming up.
Oh, huge. I mean, does it get much bigger than Vermont versus Noble Park in Division 1 for a chance to take on the all-conquering Balwyn Tigers? That's going to be an absolute ripper. Don't forget to tune in from 1 o'clock on Saturday. And then on Sunday, as you said, out of Vermont for Mitchum taking on Baronia.
Yes.
That's going to be a ripping contest. The Tigers, they're looking to go that one step further. Baronia looking to regroup and bounce back.
Should be a magnificent round of Choose Tap finals action, and make sure your radio dial's locked on 98.1 FM, and you stay tuned to EFL.org.au for all the latest news on the EFL. Frosty, contain your excitement again, and we'll see you on the weekend.
Oh, mate, I'm counting down the days already.
We'll see you next week.